Actually guys, a couple of days ago I upgraded this Dell Optiplex 7010 and I must admit I've been pretty blown away by its little performance. It's got a really good performance for the money that you can buy these for, and I just wanted to share with you guys some of the gameplay and stuff like that and some of the frames per second that you can get. Now obviously this will depend on how much memory you got and what card you got in there, and also other things as well. Now I put a 1050 Ti in here, and also put in here an SSD, and I got 8 gigabytes of RAM in here, but I want to put 16 gigabytes in, so that will reflect on the frames per second. And it's got an i5 3550p in here. You can see here we're getting frames right up into the 150s and back down to 120 and then back up again, so we're getting a very good frame rate here on CS Global. And to be honest with you, it's very playable. It's very enjoyable to play. It's not jerky or anything like that. It's nice and smooth, and this is on maximum settings, so if I turn the settings down I will probably get a lot more frames here. So it just depends on whether you want to see a nice image or whether you just want to turn all those down. Now obviously if you're playing competitively you want to turn a lot of those settings down to get the most frames per second as possible without impeding your vision and stuff like that for detail. So as you can see here, very nice, very smooth indeed. Now I've not played CS for a long time, stopped playing that a while ago. As you can see, very smooth indeed. Now look at the chart up on the top left hand side. I've set this up so you can see the graphics card, the VRAM, the clock, also the memory clock, and the CPU, what it's running at, and also the GPU clock and the RAM, how much RAM is being used. Now this game here is a very graphical game. It will take a lot of resources, but I'll go through here and show you the settings that I used here. So they're all set down to low. Texture, detail, you can see, beware, Ultra will need at least a 6 gigabyte dedicated memory, which this card doesn't have. It has 4 gigabytes. So I'm going to put that on say medium, and you just need to read the little bubbles on the side there with some information just to make sure that you've got the right settings for yourself. And actually I've changed that texture detail to high, so that's pushing it a little bit, but we're going to go for it and see what it goes like. So you can go through here and have a good look at some of these settings, and again you can lower these if you're finding the frame rates drop a little bit too much. Okay, so just bear that in mind. I'm just going to leave some of this stuff at these settings here. Now obviously we've got post-processing, anti-aliasing on here as well, and that's on high, and we've got a few other settings. So I just wanted to show you settings so you can actually see what I'm using here, so you can see the performance for this actual machine here. Now again, these can be tweaked to your own personal preference. You can put the lower specs on there to get higher frame rates if you want to. But I want to try and show you what this little machine can actually do. So here we go. So I'm just going to go through here and continue here for this game. Now I want to try and show you as much as I can here, because obviously I want you to see exactly what I'm doing here to get the best performance. There's no good me just showing you gameplay and not explaining to you what's going on. Now you can see this game is a very graphical game, and this machine, you can see, is pumping out here 50 frames per second, 56 frames per second, 57, 58, so it goes up and down. GPU is now at 99% and the CPU is at 100%, as you would expect for this particular type of game. I'm just going to shoot these people here from up on the balcony, and you've got a lot of objects moving and swinging around, so this will take a fair bit of GPU and CPU to run this game here. So I'm going to start moving around now. We're still getting 61 frames per second, 62, 63 and up to 80 here, as you can see, which is pretty impressive for a machine of this value really, because you can pick these up pretty cheap. So I'm pretty impressed with this. Just going to move around here and get into a bit of a battle here just to see whether it can handle. So we'll drop up and down depending whereabouts you are in the game, but I'm trying to give you a good overall frames per second there, and you can get all the stats. So here we go, we're going to have a little battle here and see if we get any drops. So you're going to get a drop in frame rates when there's a lot of action going on, as you'd expect. They're still in the 47s, 48s, so it's not bad. And you can remember we've got anti-aliasing on, and also we've got those specs for those details right up on high, so you can drop those down and get a bit more frame rates. Now PubG, I'm going to change some settings here so you can see the settings that I'm going to be testing with here. And this is important because obviously this is quite a popular game. So post-processing, shadows I'm going to put down very low because they are going to take a lot out. Textures I'm going to leave on high, effects high, foliage very low, view distance I'm going to put down medium, and we'll go here, leave the rest as is. Effects, there we go. So we're going to put the textures on ultra here by the looks of it. Apply this and click close. Now let's go ahead and go into a quick game here and just take a look at the frames per second here for this and see whether it's playable. Now again, this is a very popular game. Now if it plays this, it's going to play Fortnite and all the other types of games, so just bear that in mind. You can see on the screen here of all these people in here, we're getting 72 frames per second and then it drops down. So let's see what it's like once we hit the ground. And again, you can see it's very smooth. There's no jerkiness here from this particular type of game, which means it's playable. Now just keep an eye on the chart up the top left hand side here so you can see the stats, and you'll know exactly what's going on with the system at that particular point. So like, keep an eye on the GPU and also the CPU and the memory used. So you can see the RAM is taking a bit more of a hit in this one, 6,500, which is expected because this is quite a hungry game. And you can see we're getting 75 frames, 50 frames, back up to 68, 75, up to 80. So this is very playable. So as you can see here, it's handling PubG with ease. There's no problem at all here. And of course you can always tweak settings to suit your needs. So if you do want to get into PC gaming, then this is a really good viable option if you don't want to spend a lot of money or you're on a tight budget. Not everyone has got £1,000 to spend on a graphics card, so you can get away with using these sort of hardware on these older systems and still get away with playing all the modern games. It will play Fortnite and a lot of other games as well, because if it can play these types of games, it will certainly play a lot of other games. Now these settings here are for the Rise of the Tomb Raider, and this is quite a beefy game to play as well. So I'll just set this up so you can see here, and we'll get this running. So level of detail very high, and we got a few other settings I've set up there. And again, I'm not really sort of putting too much effort in here. I'm just sort of setting this up how I see fit. And you can sort of, if you want to get more frames, you lower down all the lovely settings there that will make it look pretty. So if you want to get more frames, you can do by just dropping those down. But I do want to sort of drop that down a little bit there, so we're not taxing the card too much. And once we get this right, we'll be able to just go in and start playing. So I want to put the texture detail onto high there. So let's get this started and see what Rise of the Tomb Raider can do. And we'll get this fired up. Now again, this is quite a graphical game, and if you do turn up all the settings on super high, you're going to probably end up dropping those frame rates down. But as you can see here, it's very playable, and it does fluctuate between 70 frames per second and also drops down to about 50 odd. And you may see that fluctuate like that when you get a lot of action happening on the screen, which are very graphical. And you can see we've got the RAM here usage of 3800. Remember, there's only 8 gigs in here as well. We could bump in another 8 gigs if we wanted to. The CPU is running at about 40% up to 50%, which isn't too bad, and obviously the GPU is running at full tilt at 100%, which is pretty normal for these sort of cards. The temperature of the card now is running at 79 Celsius or 78 Celsius, and so more work can be done with this machine. I can put some fans inside there, newer fans, to keep it cooler. Change the heatsink, but you can see it's working pretty well here. Now, of course, when you've got your machine, you can set this up how you want to get the best performance out of your build. And as you can see, we can also put in Linux on here if you didn't want to run Windows 10. You can also have it as a Hackintosh and stuff like that if you wanted to. But it looks pretty good. It's handling this game on those higher settings there. Not too bad. And up to 70 frames per second there. So as you can see, this card is performing pretty well with this CPU. It's not doing too bad. I'm not getting no stuttering there at all. So pretty impressed. So if you want to see any more of these type of videos or any types of builds or upgrades, let me know in the comments section below whether you want to see more of these. This is The Witcher 3 and Wild Hunt, and this is quite a graphic intensive game, and you can see I've turned off the hairworks, and the reason why I'm turning it off because this particular little card will struggle. Obviously turn down the shadows here as well. And I will bump up some of the graphics on this a little bit later on. I'll give it a try on these settings first, because this can tax a machine and graphics card quite a lot as well. So we'll just bump the texture quality up to high. A lot of these on high here. Now, of course, they do go up to ultra. And I'll just depth of field. So just have a little look here. Sharpening is on high. And a few other bits and pieces here. So just set this up how you want to set yours up, and we'll see what it looks like. So let's get this started. And you can see you're getting a good steady 56 to 60 frames per second there. Goes up and down, so it's not too bad for this particular type of game. And remember, this machine this chip was 2012,
Gotta ask the Baron about that.
which isn't too shabby for a 2012 CPU. I think a lot of channels do mislead people with all this high-end stuff. I mean, you can get away with PC games with a lot of older systems. You don't have to have the latest and greatest systems to play PC games. PC games have been around for a long time, and some of the games like The Witcher and stuff will tax a graphics card if you put hairworks on and stuff like that, and it can tax even the most high-grade computers. But as you can see here, it's coping with this no problem at all. It still looks pretty decent to look at. And you can also, if you wanted to, if you find the CPU is having a bit of a trouble, because we're running this at here, you can see 60% and it jumps up to 90 and then goes back down. So you can see it jumping up and down there a little bit. But this board will accept a 3770 i7 processor, and you can pick those up for around about 40 or 50 pounds on eBay, which will then bring this up to an i7 level, which isn't too bad for a small form factor computer. And again, you can whack a bit more memory in there, as I've already mentioned, up to 16 gigabytes there. That will be plenty for 1600 megahertz memory. So as you can see here, I'm just going to change the graphics here again and put this up a little bit higher, just to see whether it really sort of has an impact on the actual game itself. So I'm just going to come down here and put the shadow quality up to high. I'm not going to put hairworks up. I'm going to put the terrain quality up to ultra, and also the water quality up to ultra, and grass density up to ultra. Put these up to ultra here, the texture and foliage. We're going to put the foliage down and put detail level up as well. So we've got a few of these on ultra now. We're pushing this card a little bit higher, and we'll go back and we'll see what it looks like and what frame rates we get here. So there we go. So we've got those set in stone now, so let's go ahead. And of course you're not going to see the difference here because I have rendered this video down, but as you can see, you see me change them, and you're still getting a good solid 50 frames per second, which isn't too bad really. And you can get into battles here and it's still playable. There's no jerkiness or stuttering or shuttering there, as you can see. And this is at 1080p as well. You can see there it's doing pretty good. Okay, it's dropped down to about 49 and back up to 50. So we've got some of these settings on ultra, which is nice to know. And I'll do another game here to let you see what one more. So I'll probably do one more game. We'll call this done. Again, yeah, let me know in the comment section if you want to see more of these sort of build videos or upgrade videos, and we can I can then get some more of these and then we can test them out and see what we can do with them. And bearing in mind I have to buy these things, so they do cost money, so be reasonable. So let's move on to another game here and try one more game. So I'm going to try Sniper Elite 4 here, and we'll give this a blast and see what this looks like. I haven't had a chance to play this yet. I bought it some time ago in the sale, and I do like this series, so it's the first time I'm going to be playing the new version, but 1920 by 1080, and I've got these settings all set here, and it should be able to handle this game. So we'll just go single player.
Holding my breath will steady my shot.
Now, if you haven't played Sniper Elite, it's a pretty good game to play. I'm just going to zoom in here and shoot this item. You can see we're getting really good frame rates. Not too bad.
Nicely does it.
So let's just move up. And I think we got the idea here. So if you do want to play games like Fortnite and probably Skyrim and places like games like that, you can still probably play those on this system here. And you can see it's nice and smooth. There's no issues here whatsoever. Oh, nearly fell down there. So let's do a little jump here. There we go. So I'm going to wrap this one up. I think that's going to be about it for this video. So I hope this one helps you out, guys. So if you're in the market for getting one of these cheap computers, then have a good look around. Make sure you get the one that's got as much memory in as possible.
Might be worth searching those bodies for ammo.
The best CPU as possible to start with, i.e. an i5 or something like that. You can get i3 versions, but try and get the i5 version, and also try and get as much memory as possible as well, because it saves you having to buy all that stuff. But you don't want to get the refurbished ones. You want to try and get the ones where you can do all the work yourself, and you'll be able to get yourself a nice little gaming computer for a pretty cheap price. And you can turn this into a little HTPC or whatever you like, really. But as you can see, I think we've proved that this can play the modern day games with no problem at all. Obviously if you're at a more competitive level and you want to play at a higher level, then you may want to get yourself a better machine. But I think this is pretty serviceable, still works pretty well. And yeah, give it a go, check it out. Anyway, I'm going to wrap this one up. My name is Brian from BriTechComputers.co.uk. Thanks again for watching, guys, and have a great day, and I shall see you again for another video real soon. Bye for now. Now, if you haven't subscribed yet, hit the big red subscribe button on my YouTube channel and hit the bell notification button next to that to be notified when we upload new videos.